So why is it most women over the age of 40 find it incredibly difficult to lose weight? That is to get started, or if you get started, why is it so difficult to actually keep going and keep the weight off? Well, in this video I'm going to share with you the 7 levels that, if your attention is focused on the wrong level, will make weight loss seem virtually impossible, and if you can shift your focus to the right levels, it will make weight loss seem incredibly easy. And I genuinely mean that. It will make weight loss feel as though, why didn't I do this all the time? Now, if you've come here and you're expecting a video on some quick fix tips, you know, the latest diet, the latest exercise, that's not what this is about. This is about working on your head, your heart, combining those two things together so that you can become successful. So sorry, it's not a quick fix video. If that's what you want, please save some time, click away, because I'm going to be speaking for at least 15, maybe even 20 minutes about this topic. What I would recommend is you have a pen and paper, because when I get to the end of the 7th level I'll be sharing with you, I'm also going to give you some homework, because what's the point in me sharing this with you and then not giving you something practical to take away and actually put into practice? So we're going to go through the 7 steps one at a time. Let's kick off with step number 1. And step number 1 is one that a lot of people don't like to admit to, and it's my guess, it's the victim level, that you are actually not at this level. I say that because people at the victim level, the last thing they're looking for is help. Why? Because everything for them is going wrong. Doesn't matter what they do, what they try, what they hear, it just doesn't work for them. They start on weight loss, and the day they start, suddenly there's a leaking tap, or the mains have burst, or the car breaks down, or somebody takes ill, something goes wrong, or the diet they were following suddenly made them feel ill. They've got a reason, they get into that victim mindset. Now, as I said, it's unlikely that you're at that level, because I don't think you'd be watching this video, but what you need to be aware of is making sure you don't find yourself around people with that victim mindset when you are trying to lose weight. Why? Because you'll get sucked into their reality. You'll start to think like them, you'll start to believe the things they believe, and believe it or not, you'll start to act like them as well. So that's level number 1, the victim. You definitely don't want to be there, because I say it's a tough place to get out of, and mainly because the people in that level don't even know they're at that level. So what's the next level? The next level is what I call the fighter. Now, on the face of it, the fighter level would appear to be pretty reasonable, you know, if you didn't speak to them. A fighter, and this may have been you, following the diet properly 7 days a week, out walking 10,000 steps a day, doing the gym 3 times a week, meditating, doing all the things that you think you should be doing, and trying to do them to perfection. And that's the problem, trying to do it to perfection. So you are basically fighting against the natural laws of the universe, because nobody's perfect. Not only is nobody perfect, there are swings from doing things well to doing things not so well. Your job is to recognize when the swing's going back towards not doing particularly well, and not allowing it to take you all the way back to not doing well. But with a fighter, what happens is they don't recognize a swing in the pendulum, and when it starts to swing the other way, they fight against that as much as they can, and they end up burning themselves out basically. I had a client I was working with, Marie. She came to me, she just completed something called Insanity. It's an online workout program, and to be fair, it's not a bad workout program if you're at the right fitness level, but she wasn't. I think she got a back and a knee injury, and she was basically working at a level that was way too high for her, but she was trying to fight her way through it, and she burnt out quite literally physically and mentally. So that's the fighter, level number 2. And then we move to level number 3. Now level number 3 is arguably, I would say, the one that's easiest to accept for a lot of people, and it's the rationalizer. And I say it's the easiest one to accept for people because a rationalizer is typically, you know, a very intelligent person that will come up with all the reasons why they cannot lose the weight. Okay, so it's going to be things like my hormones. I'm going through, you know, my hormone cycle, and again, the lady I mentioned earlier, Marie, that's exactly what she was going through at the time we started working together. But she was able to go on and lose 57 pounds, I believe, 57 pounds, and get into incredible shape. It will be my job is too busy, too many demands are being placed upon me, therefore I simply haven't got the time to do the things I need to do. It will be family commitments, you name it, the rationalizer will have a reason for it, and woe betide you try and challenge their reason for not being able to get started on weight loss or for being able to maintain it to actually get to where they want to get to long term. Rationalizers are not too dissimilar to the victim people you need to be mindful of, because rationalizers, again, they can suck you into their reality. Maybe you've started on weight loss and it's not going too badly, and then suddenly you hit a bit of a bump, and then you run into a rationalizer, and before you know it, you're thinking like them, you're talking like them, you're acting like them. So rationalizers are, again, on the face of it, they sound rational, but the reality is they have bought into and they're focused in on a level that, again, they've just accepted. So where do we go from there? The next level we go to, I think, is a really interesting one. And I say that because, and don't forget, I'm giving you homework once you got all 7, so stick around for the 7th one, otherwise you've wasted your time up until this point listening to me. So level number 4 is what I call the carer. So the carer is an interesting one, because on the face of it, unlike the rationalizer, it's coming up with reasons here, there and everywhere, the carer is basically burning themselves out. Why? Because the classic is, at the age of 40, 50, 60, you've normally got parents who are older, and those parents could be older, well, they will be older, obviously, the parents, but they may have ailments, mental, physical ailments. They may have things they're no longer able to do that they could have done 10, 15, 20 years ago. So you're having to care for them and look after them, which is perfectly fine and reasonable and what you'd expect to do. They, after all, looked after us when we were kids. But at the other end of the scale, you've also got maybe young kids as well. I say young kids, but young adults, maybe in their 20s, and you're trying to support and help and get involved in both groups, but mainly with your parents. And if you're giving up a lot of time to either of these two groups, let's say the parents, and doing shopping runs, doing medical appointments, taking them to medical appointments, getting medication for them, doing cooking, doing cleaning, doing a whole host of things for them, doing all of that can take it out of you physically and mentally. Make no mistake about it. So the situation you might find yourself in is this: you would feel guilty if you were to take some time out to look after yourself. And we've all heard that thing where people talk about, if you're on an aeroplane and the captain says, if the plane goes down or the plane's going down, please put your own mask on first before trying to assist somebody else. It's the same here with your parents. Realistically, if you are going to be of good value and help your parents as much as you can, you need to be in good health yourself. Now, easy for me to say that, but not necessarily easy for you to do that. But here's the problem. A, you feel guilty because you don't want to take time out, and you can feel a bit selfish as well if you are taking time out for yourself. And then if you stop taking time out for yourself, which you should be taking out to keep yourself healthy and fit, you can then start to feel a bit frustrated. And then that frustration can go from frustration to feeling resentful. And when you get to that point of resentment, you can find yourself going all the way back down to victim if you're not careful. Or it can springboard you up to an entirely different level. So just bear that in mind. At the carer level, it sounds reasonable, and it's almost like the rationalising and the carer come together on this one. And it sounds reasonable that you should not be looking after yourself, but when you step back and you think about it logically, you really should. And I would hazard a guess, I'm going to give you a figure here, of how many people I think are stuck at those first 4 levels I've just described before we go to level 5, 6 and 7. I reckon 80% of people find themselves stuck in those first 4 levels, or bouncing between them. 1 minute they're focused on one level, then they're at another level, and they just go backwards and forwards. And as a consequence of that, they never ever get to a point where they are consistent with the weight loss or keeping the weight off that they have lost. So what's the next level? Level number 5. This gets, again, interesting. At this level, level number 5, is what we call the collaborator. The collaborator. So what is the collaborator level then? Well, the collaborator level, this is where you open your mind up to the possibility that you could actually be helped with your weight loss. Now, I know for a lot of people, they think, well, hang on, I'm a 40, 50, 60-year-old woman. Why on earth should I need some help to do something I should be able to do on my own? Well, let's just take it away from weight loss for a second. Let's think about some world-class tennis players. That's one of my favorite pastimes, is playing tennis, watching tennis. And I used to coach my son a heck of a lot of tennis. And if you look in a player's box at Wimbledon, the person you're always going to see up there, who's it going to be? It may not be the parent that's always there. It may not be their best friend or anybody like that. But the person you always see sat in that box supporting that player on is who? It's the coach. Why is the coach sat there? The coach is sat there because the coach can help the player with, not with how to hit a forehand or a backhand. They've been doing that since probably the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They've just got stronger, faster, quicker, and they can do those things easily. So it's not about how to hit a forehand or backhand. It's not about how to serve. They're there to remind them and talk about strategy. How are they playing the game? How are they facing the other person on the other side of the net? How are they competing? You know, what are their tactics? What did they speak about during practice that maybe they've forgotten and they need to start doing within the game situation to turn the game in their favour if they're losing? That's what the coach is there to do. And when you go into collaboration with someone, something, it could be an online thing, it could be a group, it could be a slimming group, it could be a weight loss group, whatever it is, the collaboration is about you opening your mind up to other possibilities that you may not be aware of, or you may have forgotten, or you may have misunderstood. That's the purpose of a collaboration, to help you move forward and see things differently and take some practical steps to move you closer towards achieving your long-term goal. So that's the collaborator stage. Now the collaborator stage works really well with the next level, which is the visionary. So the visionary is where you can now start to see the possibility of the first 10 pounds coming off. See the possibility of you going on that walk that you plan to do around the Jurassic Coast. See the possibility of you going back to a favourite hobby that you used to play when you were 5, 10 years younger, or a lot fitter. Maybe it was tennis, maybe it was crown green bowling, maybe it was badminton, whatever it was. But you can now start to see the possibility, because with that collaboration you've opened your mind up and you can start to see what could happen, because you're now beginning to believe it. And once you start to believe it, you're on the right path. But you need to go beyond believing. You need to actually know. That's another video I'll talk about another time. But believing is one level, knowing is where you need to be. So that's the visionary. And then the final level, level number 7, before I give you your homework, is the creator level. When you get to creator level, and these 3 levels, by the way, 5, 6 and 7, all work together really well. When you get to the creator level, what that basically means is you are taking aligned steps. Your steps are aligned with the collaboration, with the vision, with the creation. The creation is the actions you're taking, be that walking, eating, meditation, whatever it is you're doing. You've now aligned it all mentally here and here. And when it's lined up here and here, guess what's happened? You've owned it, you've created it in your head, because anything that we actually achieve in the real physical world has to first of all happen up here and here. Because when it happens here and here, it can happen out in the real world. If we don't have it here and here, it doesn't matter how clever you are, it doesn't matter what you know about diet, exercise, it doesn't matter how motivated you are, it doesn't matter how much discipline you think you've got, it doesn't matter how much willpower you think you've got. You are not going to be successful until you can internalize this and start seeing it and feeling it in here and in here. Once you can do that, this becomes success on automatic pilot. Now, I'll do a whole nother video on that at some point, I'm sure. What's your homework that I'd like you to do, and report back here and let me know how you're getting on. And by the way, if you're looking to work with somebody that has helped many women over the age of 40, 50, 60 lose 30, 40, 50 pounds, 80 pounds or more, then find the link in the description, click on it, read about the program. If you fancy it, then book in for a call with me. We can have a conversation and see whether or not this might be a good step for you. So what's your homework? I'm going to give you one simple thing to do for your homework. I'd like you to report back here next week and let me know how you've got on. I just want you to go away and be aware of where your current focus is in terms of those 7 levels. That's it. Now you might think, well, Eric, what good is that going to do me? I'll tell you what it's going to do for you. It's going to make you aware. Awareness is step number 1. If you're not aware of where your focus is going right now, then there's no way you can become successful. Not really. Some people do it intuitively, but for the vast majority of people, it needs to be pointed out to them. So once you become aware of where you are, something magical can happen inside you. You can start to take the necessary steps to move to the level where you know it's going to be more helpful. It's like pushing down the first domino. So that's your homework. Go away, be absolutely honest with yourself, write down the 7 levels, and then sit down and be brutally honest with yourself. Where has the vast majority of your focus been over the last, you decide what period of time, the last week, the last month, maybe if it's been longer than that, for whatever period of time it is. And just write that down and come back and comment below where your level's been. And then what I'll do is, if you comment and you ask me the question, I may even do a video on how you can shift from that particular level. But for this week's homework, it's simply to identify where your focus has been in terms of those 7 levels.